Amazing. I am so excited to be here with our beautiful Elle. She is a lovely, lovely friend of mine, somebody who has come alongside me in this mission of Faith for Women and has a beautiful story of her own to share. And so one of the very first people that I get to sit with and ask and interview. And then we have our lovely Florence, her baby girl, her fifth baby girl. I'll let you tell your story, but just want to introduce you and just say thank you so much for agreeing to be in this space.
Absolutely.
We're excited to have you. And, as the producer of this podcast, I'm sure you're so excited to be here.
It's going to be so fun to see myself on here and edit all of the things for myself and put it out there for you guys.
We do things outside of our comfort zone, right? God
Yes,
calls us
we
out
do.
and we step out of the boat eagerly and willingly, and maybe not always eagerly, but definitely willingly.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for
Aw.
having me, Jen. It means a lot to be here, and I know that my story can probably help other people out there too. So, um,
Yeah.
and we have our matcha today. Look at this. What are you drinking, Jen?
Love it. I got coffee today. I actually, my matcha from yesterday is still sitting here.
Oh,
One of those. I needed to bring it downstairs, but I love that you're my cheers matcha girl.
yes, absolutely. I drink coffee too, but matcha has my heart.
I know. I needed a matcha for this. I was like, I feel like I'm kind of naked here right now without a matcha because I know you'll have one.
Yeah.
When I was like, "Are you ready?" and you're like, let me make my drink," and I knew exactly what was gonna show up. And then also just knowing that I love that you have Florence with you right now, and Ophelia kind of toddling around in the background. I just
Yeah.
think that just really speaks to what we have here, the love of motherhood, and how it is like literally the first calling in our life. Like Jesus is the first calling, and then there's the beautiful opportunity of motherhood that he gives us. So we're gonna just flow with you and your baby and just know that it's all beautiful and lovely. So while she's calm and kind of content right now, I would love to just kind of get started here, as far as I have just a few questions, just about, your testimony, your background, things that you've shared with me that I think could really touch other women's hearts and, maybe where they have been, where they currently are, or maybe where they might be at some point in the future. And so, if you just want to, share a little bit about your background and what you've experienced in life. I know
Mhm.
that sounds really broad, but just whatever first comes up in your heart, that you feel like the Lord may be leading you to share today.
I think it's important to tell you guys where I started with my faith. I grew up Catholic in a small town where it was a big Catholic community, and that's all that people knew, right? So you go to church on Wednesdays and you go to church on Sundays, and um, I guess I knew the prayers. I believed in him in like this distant and but yet familiar way, but I never really truly knew him. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? It
Mhm.
was like I knew what I was supposed to do, and that was just kind of the extent of it. And I
So
didn't
there
really.
was like a foundation of religion, but not quite a relationship yet. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly right. I didn't understand what the relationship even could look like or what the
Right.
depth of it could really be. I just
Hmm.
thought, oh, I believe in him, so this is good. This gets me into heaven, right?
Mm, yeah, yeah.
But I longed for something deeper, I think, but I just didn't really know how to get it or how to grasp it and what that would look like.
Right.
And then I think becoming a mom, I became a mom early in college. I was young. I was like 20, how old was I? I was 22. I was
Hmm.
22 when I had
Hmm.
Eloise 10 years ago. And it was that, I think, that shifted something in me. I
Mm.
felt this responsibility to raise good children that knew who God was and had that relationship that I didn't know how to have. And I don't think it wasn't that, my family didn't do that for me. They pushed for that, but I hoped that I could find a way to make it better and easier for them to know how to reach that.
Right.
So through motherhood, I kind of figured it out a little bit more. It wasn't
Yeah.
perfect, but I was figuring it out. I was trying so hard to understand how to lead them. It
Right.
opened up my heart to faith in a new way, and but I think things really came alive a little later for me, even more so than that. And unfortunately, it didn't come in a graceful, beautiful way. It came through heartbreak and really just a really, really hard season of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So,
think that I
go ahead.
think that there are layers to relationship with Jesus, and he isn't it so beautiful how he meets us where we are, wherever we are. Um, and it's almost like he woos us to him through seasons of our life. I love that. I love that it's almost like you've always had this calling and you've always been aware of it. But it was like, but how? So you
Yeah.
knew what, but you just didn't quite have the how. And then isn't it really amazing how our children, they do something within us that is like, it's this longing and this desire to just immediately be a better person,
Yeah.
be a better example. And
I
it's
feel like
almost
that's like
like,
God's design, right? Like that's what he.
I was just going to say, it's almost like he intentionally made that happen. And sometimes I giggle because I'm like, man, I really needed refining because I have 6 children. And so I'm looking at you and I'm like, she has 5 daughters. Maybe there was a refinement process that
Yeah.
she needed guided through. It's
That's
almost
funny.
like each daughter brought a layer of that back, right?
That is so true. Now that you say that, and I'm kind of thinking about what each daughter did for me, yeah, that's very true. Mm.
And I think it's beautiful to highlight our children, but I think we can also highlight our spouses too, which you have such a beautiful story between you and your husband. And if you'd like to share, I would love to open space for that because I think that also played a part and a role in your faith, in your building of faith, in your journey toward Jesus.
Yeah. So unfortunately, yes, like I said, everything kind of had to fall apart to fall back into place for me and get me where I am. I know that's not everybody's story and how it goes, but unfortunately, that's how it worked for us. And we were, long story short, we were separated for about 18 months due to multiple things. There was infidelity, there was addiction, there was mental health issues. But in the middle of that and losing him, I also lost my mom. And it was in this 6-month period that was so incredibly difficult for me. I was still so young. I wasn't even 30 years old yet. And I was trying to wrap my head around that and the loss of my husband while having 3 daughters. And I was pregnant with Ophelia, my fourth, when Dylan and I went through that. And so you try to keep your kids steady and your life steady when everything's truly unraveling. And it was just, it was hard. And you hear about people when they go through things like that, they're like angry with God and they're like, why me? Why is this happening to me? And you struggle with your relationship with him for a while because you're just angry and you literally go through these stages of grief. And for me, when I was going through my anger stage, it was anger with everything and him included. And that was hard. And finally, I got to this point where I just was like, what else left do I have than to just pray? And it wasn't this beautiful prayer. It was like the ugly on your knees sobbing. Your kids are even seeing you just sob and just desperately beg God to heal you and to fix you. And not just me, but my husband. I wanted him to do his work on him too. And I wanted his heart to change. I wanted him to come home. I just wanted God to bring him home. That's all I wanted. Um, and in that, it was funny because God has a funny way of doing this. He did the unexpected, and I think instead of showing me, hey, I can bring Dylan home, I'm going to work on you, is what he did. And
Mm-hmm.
just so deeply changed every part of my heart in that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like he stripped away my need to control the situation and control what my husband was doing and what was happening on the outside. Um, and it, I, I'm kind of at a loss for words. It was just beautiful how he just dug deep inside of me and made me trust him in ways that I never even knew were possible. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and the story didn't turn out the way that I'd wanted it to, as quickly as I wanted it to, but I surrendered my marriage and my future and my fears to him, and slowly
Mm-hmm.
he moved.
Yeah.
He healed, and one day, out of nowhere, Dylan came and he asked me for help, and he pleaded for God to help him.
Mm-hmm.
These doors were opening, and from there, it wasn't easy. It was still a long journey after
Mm-hmm.
that, but it happened, and it was crazy. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
He
Um,
works in just incredible ways.
yeah.
And something that I just want to acknowledge and that has been coming up for me over and over and I've been reminding others of is the way that he gently guides those with young. It literally says in scripture that he gently guides those with young. And thinking of you as essentially a single mama at that time with three little girls, one on the way, a heart longing for your husband, and also longing for the love of your mother. Like those things just I can I can understand the anger. And right now just I'm reading through Job, and so it's really interesting how we might have been raised, and I don't know specifically in Catholicism how the sadness and anger and all of those things are dealt with. But for me personally, it was like, well, we're not angry with God because God can do anything that God wants to do, and you're essentially just blessed to be on this earth in just period. And so, any feelings that you have beyond joy and gratitude really don't belong. And so, as I'm reading, even now, reading through Job and understanding that actually there was space for Job to process. Like in the Bible, Job was somebody who the Lord actually let the enemy strike with a lot of pain and a lot of hard things. And, when Job was processing that and he was speaking out loud to the Lord, he was actually expressing anger. He was expressing sadness. He was expressing grief. And God was like, we'll read, you know, that the Lord didn't discount him because of those feelings. He actually, Job ended up with a double portion, and so like way beyond what was taken from him, he was given in return. And so, reading it from this fresh perspective and thinking about the anger that you felt and that you were working through him or through with him, it's like that was okay too. He accepts how we process things, and look at where you are now, with the redemption story. So I'll let you continue, but just interjecting that understanding of we're allowed to process. And for so long, I was taught, or I thought, maybe I wasn't even taught it, maybe I just thought that we are to suppress those things and be a good girl and, just be
Mm-hmm.
okay with the lot that you're handed. So I will let you continue in your story and your testimony, but
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
Yeah. Um, where should I pick up? So I guess,
Yeah, well, he came
um,
back and asked, for help and
yes, he wanted help, and I so heavily believe that it was God that softened his heart in that way and wanted him to, got him to get the help that he needed. I truly believe that with my whole being, that our marriage would not be where it was at had we not brought God center in it. And so that's what we've done since we've been back together now. And what's it been? 2.5 years or so that we've been back. And now we have Lawrence. He gave me a fifth baby through that. So not only did he bring my husband back, but he brought him back and blessed our marriage significantly. And our marriage is 10 times better than it ever was, previously. And we have a fifth little baby. So that's
and
amazing.
she's so lovely and such a blessing to you. I've seen the way that you love her and the way you mother her and the way that she responds to you and the joy. Like she's just this bundle of joy everywhere that you go.
She cries, don't get me wrong.
And that's
But
okay. We all get that. We all get to have express our feelings as needed,
yeah.
right? And I
So
think
yeah,
too,
go ahead.
that brings like my thought in as far as, she cries. And so just understanding that I think as mothers, we have a renewed understanding of what it is to help our children process, tears and grief. And, speaking for me personally, and maybe this is how you mother too. I just see you as a very gentle, loving caretaker, as I've witnessed you with my own children and many children around you. But understanding that, tears are actually healing, and
Hmm.
I've actually heard that there is a release of negative ion. I don't know if ions is the right word, but negative energy, actually scientifically, that is released through tears. And when we allow children to do that and process that, and even allow ourselves to, it actually accelerates the healing process so that as they grow older and as they step into adulthood, there's less pent up or withheld trauma
Yeah.
inside of them. And so just understanding, how gracious the Lord has been with us in our processing, in our grief, in all of that. It's almost like because he does that for us and we're
Yeah.
able to turn around and do that, for our children in a healthy way, right?
I
Yeah.
mean, I know I feel good after a good cry. It's like you have a good cry and then you're like, whew, you
Yeah,
know?
I'm exhausted, but yes.
Yeah, I
I've
know
never
that.
slept better after a good, yeah. Yeah. It is good.
So,
And then also, understanding that there's, the Bible says that there's a time for mourning and there's a time for celebration. And actually, it can even be interwoven together.
yeah.
And you can find joy in the seasons, even of sadness. And so I would love to hear because I came like after that
Yes.
experience, after you had, really started mending that relationship. I think I met you as you were kind of in the middle of the throes of that. But I would love to hear, you know, where you are now, just looking back with, could you, I feel like we always see the hand of God, hindsight is 2020. And I would love to hear, were there any moments that you can look back to and say, wow, God was holding me
Oh, yeah.
there? Or, oh, wow, I felt him, but I maybe didn't even realize the extent of what it was. I would just love to hear if there was any time that you can look back at and see maybe the hand of God in that season.
I see it. So I can so perfectly remember times where I would sit on this exact couch and I have a big pregnant belly and I am missing my husband so much, and my girls were with him for the weekend, and so it's just me in the quiet. Um, and I would just sit here and sob, and I would just pray and just talk to God. That was when I really learned that, speaking now, you've since said this to me since then, but I could literally just speak out loud. Like, I'm so lonely in this time, but I'm speaking out loud and sobbing, just talking to him. And that was, I think, the first time in my life that I really figured out how to talk to him, and how praying is not just, sitting here praying so nicely. Praying can be anything that you want it to be. You can talk to him however it works for you in that season. And I would just talk. I would just sit here and talk and ask questions like he was sitting right next to me.
Mm-hmm.
I had never experienced that ever in my life, and I don't know what it was about grief that brought that out in me, but I think it was because he was it. He was the only thing I had to turn to. And
Right.
it was so beautiful now looking back that I had that.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I would be, truthfully, Jen, if I didn't have that relationship with him then. I don't know if Dylan and I would have made it work. I don't know if I'd have her, I don't know what kind of dark hole I would have crawled into. And I'm just so grateful that he didn't let me
Right.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Um,
fact that you can find, well, that you could find peace in that. I long for the entire world, every person, every one of God's creation to have the opportunity to feel supernatural peace, because there have been seasons of my life where I'm like, I could not imagine going through this without my faith, without God, without the hope of Jesus.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and it's the loss of my mom too. Um, I feel like having that faith of eternal life and heaven with him, it gave me more peace that she was gone. How do you, I just don't know how you go through a life not having that kind of hope in something like that, and,
Right.
and being with your loved ones in
Right.
heaven. And
Yeah.
so that thought gave me more comfort losing her, that she was with him.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's how I got through it.
Hmm. Yeah. It definitely brings solace to visualize your loved ones with your Father,
Yeah.
with your Jesus.
Yes. It's a big, big comfort.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well,
Thank you for sharing that. Were there any other moments that you're like, this is a glimpse of God, or maybe you didn't see it at the time, but now you do?
when I found you, we talk about that because that's been crazy.
We can definitely talk about it if you're ready to go into that.
Yeah, I mean, that season with my husband was pretty crazy, but in the middle of all of that, or shortly after that had happened, God opened a door to you, which was, wild. It's something I never saw coming, and even when we started working together, I never imagined that it would go where it has today, and that you would strengthen my faith in the way that you have, and in finding faith for women, and doing all of this. It's just been an even greater blessing than when I found him through my marriage trials, for sure.
Mm.
So we could tell that whole story.
Yes, we can. Something that's really interesting is understanding like the journey with Jesus. And each of us have an individual, unique testimony and journey, but understanding that he takes us, it's almost like stepping into the ocean. Like we're in this shallow area where it's like this is playful, this is so fun, this is like wow, I need this right now. I need this hope. I need this joy, and knowing that, that's where salvation lives. That's where like we aren't doing works to get to heaven. It's just by simply trusting that he is the way, right? He says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody comes to the Father except through me. And so that's in our initial relationship with Jesus, where it's like, yeah, you might be living in grief or in hard things right now, but you have him and you have the hope of salvation and you have, and then he starts to take you a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper and a little
Good
bit deeper
analogy.
according to your faith, right? According to the capacity that which you hold. And, having the trust and the availability is that's when it starts to be on us, right? That's when faith without works is dead comes into my mind right now, where, that's not saying that our salvation is at risk because we are hesitant to step in the deep with him. It's that when we start to step in the deep with him and when we start to learn that, oh, when I keep my eyes on Jesus, I actually can get out of the boat and walk on the water with him.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm walking, sometimes I'm dancing, sometimes I'm laying there floating. But there is a level of kind of definitely faith, but also like of trust that he has in us to be able to hold the mission that he's putting us on, right? And so it's really interesting how he's working on Jen over here while he's working on Elle over here, and he is like orchestrating all of it, and we're all just like, I don't know why he's calling me to talk to you about this. I can remember exactly where we were sitting. So, just a little backstory. Just about how you and I met. And I would love to hear like your side of it, and then I will share kind of my perspective. It's almost like a movie that has two. I'd
Oh,
love
that's
to kind of
so
merge them
fun.
together, but I'd love to hear your perspective and your take on that, and then I will bring in
Sure.
mine.
Okay, so I guess I didn't tell you all before. I am a photographer. Um, and so I met Jen doing photography, which Jen also used to do this, and she invited me into her home when she had her fifth baby, to do photos for her, and that's where we first met. And I don't know, I was just so drawn to you from the get-go. It was just so easygoing, and the chaos of the kids was so fun, and it was a really good shoot. And then I didn't see you for a while after that. We didn't talk a lot, but you had asked me to do another shoot for you later on down the road, kind of back here by where I am, and informed me that you were moving to California. I'm like, what? What are you doing in California? And you didn't tell me much about it. It just said that that's just where your career was taking you and things. And um, then you left, you went on your way and delivered your photos. And months more go by, and I'm at a job that I really didn't love to be at. And Jen messages me one day and asks if I'd want to come and do her maternity shoot on the beach in California. And I'm like, me? You want me to do that? I'm gonna go to California with all those great photographers there, and you want me to do it? And you were just like, yes, of course. And you told me that you were actually expecting at that last shoot that we did, and I don't remember if you knew or if you didn't know, but it was so special to you because you were early with Jewel or Jasmine, sorry, and yeah, so that was so fun. And then I get there and we do a fun shoot, and you told me you had something you wanted to talk about, and I had no idea what it was going to be, truthfully. I thought maybe it's something cool with photography, but yeah, and then Jen just said that she wanted me in your space to help and grow this community that you had started, and you weren't sure what it was going to look like, but we were just going to make it work. And it was the best, the best blessing. One of my top blessings in my life that has happened to me was to come and be here with you in this space. So that's the start. Anyway, I can keep going, but that's how it
Yeah.
started from my
Yeah.
point of view.
I love that. Yeah, it's funny how as we see other people differently than they see themselves. And I
Right.
always, the way that you explained how you, saw me and my family, yes, there was chaos and I was calm in the chaos and whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like over here, like, I am sweating. I am just had a baby and there's chaos happening. And how the heck could she have gotten any good pictures out of that? I do not know. But then when the magic that you do, you handed the session over to me, and I'm like, she caught my love so perfectly. Oh my goodness.
Oh, it was
And so, of
beautiful.
course, from that moment, and even Josh said, she is absolutely incredible. We will never have another photographer beside
Mhm.
her. She is, we've loved all the people we've worked with, but you just are everything that we need as a family photographer. And then, as I had come here to California, you had always been, I always stalked your photos and the stories you were telling, and it was so fun with the photographer's eye to watch you grow, to watch, you stepping into the storytelling and the beautiful way that you told other people's stories and the way that you honored them and just really cared about that. That meant so much. And then just watching you, grow in your family and that type of thing was just so fun. So then, of course, reaching out to you to come to California, I was like, of course, like, we're going to have you out here. We wouldn't have anybody else. Like, you're the only one that my husband will smile for. So, and my children. And so it just, yeah. And then as the time led up to you coming here, I felt the Lord say to my heart that I needed to invite you into this journey of, what this business or what, my endeavors, my entrepreneurial endeavors looked like. And, I didn't exactly know what that looked like. I didn't always know how to, be a really great leader. I knew how to lead in the Lord, but I didn't really know what the business side of that looked like. And so I was just like, okay, I'm going to have this conversation. I have no idea what her availability is. I'm just going to share. And I think I even said that I feel like the Lord wants me to ask you. And when I start that for most people, they're like, okay, like, but you were just like, yeah, okay, well, let's see what
Sounds
unfolds
great.
from this. And then I don't think we stopped talking since. And it's just been an incredible journey, and you have come alongside and supported me in ways that I could have never imagined. And quickly become one of my very best friends, and just loved our family so well. And to do that from a distance just takes a really special individual. And then also to deal with my crazy ideas. Like I am just like throwing things and you're like catching them on the fly. You're like, yes, Jen, I
And
got
always
this.
on the
Whatever.
weekend. It's always on the
And
weekend.
always on the weekend. I know. I'm Sabbath, right? Oh. I preach Sabbath, but Jesus is my rest, so I can rest whenever.
That's very cool.
But that's when the markets close, so that's
Yeah.
apparently when I can focus on other things.
Yes.
But it's just been, an incredible journey of watching you grow, but then also, seeing you grow in faith and seeing
Yeah.
you just become more and more vocal and trust the Lord more and more and pointing it back to me, being like, Jen, do you remember what you said to me here? Like,
Yes.
let's remember that always. And so having you come alongside in that and remind me of those things is just so powerful and precious to me.
I just like
Amazing.
to
Now,
remind you what your
when
faith.
I invited you into that space, I actually had always had this, like, it's almost like I was pregnant with our faith for women, but not a lot of people knew about it yet. And honestly, even, sharing with you about a desire for a nonprofit and for all of that actually didn't even come until you were on board for a while. So when we first started working together, you helped streamline but really make things beautiful. I would put the words to it and you would put the
I'm a
beautiful
creator.
You're like, Jen, your Instagram is a hot mess. Let me come in and rearrange it and make it pretty.
Yeah.
Aesthetic.
Yes, that's the word.
Yes. So with that, when, I would love to hear kind of your take on the journey and what you've seen unfold with Faith for Women and where we are today. Looking at you, I consider you a partner in this. I consider you a foundational, not just member, not just somebody that has showed up to help, an assistant, as you will, but a partner in the foundation of the creation of this. And so I would love to hear from your perspective, what is Faith for Women, and what's our longing and what's on our heart or on yours specifically in this mission.
Hang on, we might have to pause for a sec, just a sec.
That's okay.
Okay, sorry.
No, it is all good.
Turned over so I could talk about Faith for Women.
You handle motherhood so beautifully. Like I just watch you like do all the things and it's so
Oh,
good.
geez, it doesn't always feel graceful from here, trust me.
It's just like
But
when you came to that session with me, like you're calm in the chaos. That's good.
oh, and she came right back. She's just going to be at my feet. It's okay.
Okay.
Faith for Women. When you gave me this vision, I had no idea what it was going to look like. I'm just like, okay, a nonprofit ministry. Okay, what do we do with this? And you just had all these beautiful ideas about sharing your faith with people. And I quickly realized, like, it's basically doing for so many people what you did for me. And it was just like being able to like live that out and show people what it's like to have God at the center of your life. And so we have all these beautiful classrooms per se that can show people what that can look like in each aspect of your life and area of your life. And it's just helped me slow down and sit with God daily and stop rushing through motherhood and work and learning how to trade and all these other things that you've helped me do. It has just grounded me in such a beautiful way. And it's giving that to so many other women, and I just want it to reach the world. Like that's just been my hope since day one, is that we can reach people the way that you reached my heart in the beginning of this. Because I desperately needed that, and it significantly changed my life. And I want that for so many other people. That's the best way that I can put it.
He's the prize, right? He's the one that deserves all the glory, but in return, he gives us so much love and so much peace and so much, like you said, grounding. I'm on this, like, for so long, I've been on this continual pursuit of nervous system regulation. Like, that is such a term that we talk about, and I'm like, the ultimate nervous system regulator is Jesus Christ. And how do we find him but in the Word, right? I just honor you in that description and saying that, just wow, that is truly, I just invite women in. It's like, I want you to come into my home, and I want you, like, the area, what we have, whether it be our school platform where you were talking with about classrooms, and our YouTube and our podcast and all the different platforms that the Lord has led me to start being creative on.
I knew she was going to come out soon.
That's okay.
We're not going anywhere right now. Look, I'm talking to Jen. You say hi, Jen. Okay.
That's good. I feel like we'll have so many more opportunities to sit here like this. You always say how much you love my voice. I love your voice so much.
Oh my gosh.
I love it so much. You just
Funny,
have the
because when you
neatest.
hear your own voice, though, you're like, no.
The Lord has helped me accept it, because he's like, this is the thing. And when you don't reject your voice anymore, you're not afraid to speak and create things with him. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah. it's
Yeah.
helped. Actually, you speaking life over my voice has helped me have the confidence to step into this space and do this well. So thank you for that. I guess my final just thought here is there anything that you would say to women who, are maybe going through or sitting in that pit of grief that you were in, and just maybe a bit of hope that they can sit with and understand that like now is never forever. That this season might be hard, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Is there anything that you would say, I guess, if you imagined going to the Elle that was sitting on the couch, that story you told, if you could go sit by her and tell her something, what would you say to her?
I think it's important that women that are in the depths of that season know that there is so much hope. Like, I lost hope so many times. And then I would come alive again through him. And it just didn't look the way that I thought it was going to. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't like I would pray and God would just say, okay, here you go, and I wanted it to just be lighter and easier and come faster. And I just think it's so important that we understand that it's his time and it's going to come in the best way that's for us. Even when we don't know that is the best way for us and we don't know if we agree, it is the absolute best thing for us. And I was so disappointed for a while in how it all unfolded. And when I look back on it now, truthfully, people will ask me, like, how did you get through that? And I'm like, truthfully, I'm almost grateful for what God put me through, because my faith now is substantially better than it was back then. And the things that he taught me and grew inside of me, I never would have done had I not gone through that. And so I'm like, I just want you to know that if you're in the depth of that it's not the end of your story, and your story is so much more than infidelity, than abuse, than mental health issues. It is so much more, and there's so much more for you. And it's better than you're ever gonna imagine. I mean, look at her. Look at her.
Hi. Yes, she is
I
wonderful.
never imagined that I would have my marriage back and another baby, and that God would fulfill everything that I wanted and more out of that.
Amen. What a hope-filled thing to leave these beautiful women with. I thank you so much for your time today, Elle, Florence, and Ophelia. We just honor you and we love you, and we know that this is just the beginning of the story. There's so much more to come, and I know that we sit and we imagine, when we have grandbabies running around and all of those beautiful things to come. I just look forward to so much life yet to live, and also so much more for Faith for Women. I'm just so excited that this is just the beginning of that journey and that story. And I'm sure we'll get on and we'll talk more about it, and how fun that this gets to be our, initial interview that we do, and that
I
it'll
can't
be
wait
so
to
many.
hear all the testimonies. It's going to be so good. So
So
good.
good. God is so good. Amazing. Awesome. Have,
Yeah.
have a beautiful rest of your day, baby.
Thank you so much, Jen.